Okay, so the dumbest mistake that prevents healing in your relationship is fumbling an apology. Fumbling an apology. Why is fumbling an apology the dumbest mistake? I'll get back to that in just a second, everybody. I'll let you know right up front. Kind of got a cold, getting over a cold, so I'm drinking some tea here. Forgive me for that. But really, everything I want to do with these videos is it's all about helping you get what you really want. And if you really want relationships, everybody does, and you're in a place right now, or you've been in a place, or you may be back in a place where your relationship's just off track, one of the dumbest mistakes that you can make is fumbling an apology. Here's why. Is because you already know that you did something wrong, and yet, rather than fully owning it, you don't deal with it fully. So I have a lot of experience with this, unfortunately. I could just think back to my relationship just with my wife alone, and many times, I know I did something wrong, but what I really wanted was I wanted the tension to go away, and I wanted us to get back and everything's fine. And so, you kind of sweep it under the rug. You want to move past it. And so you say you're sorry, and how can we move past this as quickly as possible? And what I experienced was basically a Groundhog Day experience where I heard myself over and over again saying, I'm sorry, for things that I kept doing the same thing. I kept doing the same wrong thing over and over again. And what it did is it kept us from really moving forward. It's like acknowledging that you did something wrong is one thing. So you say, I'm sorry, that's an acknowledgement that you did something wrong. But then you do it again, and you're reopening a wound, and you're actually making it a whole lot worse. So, I had to ask myself in this Groundhog Day experience, can I really say I love you if I keep causing hurt? Same thing for you. Can you really say that you love someone if you keep causing them hurt for the same reasons over and over again? I submit that you cannot. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. But what I want to do is share with you what I have learned. There's really 3 parts of a true apology. 3 parts of a true apology. If you want healing, these parts they'll be helpful to you to think about them now, but you really have to reflect on them. You really have to take some time to meditate on them. So my encouragement to you is to not just watch this video and walk away from it, but actually to do something about it, to think about it. But here's the first one. The first part of a true apology is to be specific about what you did wrong. Be specific, crystal clear. What did I do wrong? Before you ever say, I'm sorry, be crystal clear about what you did wrong. Because forgiveness, which brings the healing in the relationship that you really want, forgiveness requires agreement. It requires both parties in the relationship to agree on what is being forgiven. You know what I mean? You loan someone money, and then you agree to forgive some of it or all of it, or you borrow money and the bank forgives some of it or all of it. Same thing with doing something wrong. It requires agreement. Are you forgiving some of it or all of it, none of it? What exactly? And so you have to be specific about what you did wrong and fully own that without blame shifting any of it. And so that's the part that it's part of our human nature. You may be familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the garden that God created, and God comes to call. They ended up eating from the tree that he told them not to eat from. And he asked Adam, did you eat from the tree? And Adam's like, well, it's the woman that you put here with me. And he turns to the woman and he's like, did you eat from the tree? And she's like, well, the serpent deceived me. It's like we blame shift, right? So if you want healing in the relationship, you have to be specific about what you did wrong without blame shifting any of it, and own it. And I have found it can be super helpful to get a legal pad like this. Love legal pads. And to write out specifically what you did wrong. To list it out either bullet point style, or you can do it in paragraph form. I've done it in both, and both are helpful. And why is this? It's to help you own it fully so that you can get the healing that you really want. So the first one, be specific about what you did wrong. But to know that is not enough. It's not enough to just know it. You have to feel it. So the second part of a true apology is to be sincere in your heart. like to be sincere. And you know when you're being sincere and you know when you're not. And I'll tell you, if you're trying to apologize to someone, they know whether you're sincere or not. And time will certainly tell, right? But feeling bad is not enough. I'm sure if the relationship's off, you feel bad and you might confuse that with sincerity. It's not necessarily being sincere to feel bad. You know, because sometimes we feel bad about the wrong things. We feel bad about the inconvenience of this situation that got us off. Oh, this is really inconvenient. Now we have to go hang out with friends. Now we have to go be with family. Now we have to go be out in public where people will see, and it's a convenience. They'll pick up that we're off. Or, oh my goodness, can we just get past this? It's an inconvenience. That's not sincerity. Sometimes it's the embarrassment. I had my wife and I were in a group many years ago. I'll just tell you this real brief story. We were in a group many years ago. Husband and wife, they had a couple kids. Husband and wife. Husband ended up having an affair, like big deal, right? Well, he ends up leaving with the other girl. And we're surrounding, you know, the wife is still there trying to support her, and we're trying to talk with him. He's not really open to it. Well, some time goes by, and his work ends up kind of finding out that he's had this affair. And so he ends up coming back to her. And it took a while before we really figured out what was going on, but he says, I'm sorry. Well, time passes and he does the same thing again. So when he said he was sorry, was he actually sorry? From our perspective, no. He was just embarrassed that other people were looking at his life choices and were questioning whether they wanted to continue to partner with him in business. Does that make sense? So sometimes we feel bad, we say, I'm sorry, and of course that's a really big one, but we do this with little stuff too. We feel bad about the wrong thing, inconvenience, embarrassment, and that's not it. Are you causing hurt? Did you cause someone hurt? You have to see the evil of it. You have to see the wrongness of it, not just the consequences of it. You have to be sincere in your heart, whether it's a really big thing or if it's a small thing. Do you see the evil of it? Remorse, it feels like grief. It feels like a part of you is dying or will die if you don't do something about it. So you have to be sincere in your heart. So that's the second part. And you know, those two are hard. To be specific about what you did wrong, be sincere in your heart. The third part is the hardest, which is to be different going forward. You have to be different going forward. You have to change. You have to be better. And of course, talk is easy. That's what you say is like, I'm going to be better. Because you know that that's what you have to do, especially if this is like a pattern. You know, if you want real healing, you have to really change. And if you don't change, you're only going to cause more hurt. That wound is going to continue to reopen until finally the other person they can't take it anymore. And the reality is, this is important. I want you to hear this. If you can't stop causing someone hurt, especially for the same thing over and over, if you can't stop, you really need to end the relationship. You really need to. If you're on the other side of this and you're receiving, you know, this kind of treatment from a loved one, you may need to end the relationship too. Because if you're in a relationship where you're continuing to cause harm and you're not doing anything about it, you're not actually changing, you're really just very selfish. Or you're lying when you say I love you, because you can't say I love you and keep causing somebody the same harm over and over again. So let me give you these three again. The first is be specific about what you did wrong. Okay, be specific, as crystal clear as you can, and let both people agree to what's being forgiven. Number two, to be sincere in your heart, to see the evil of it, not just the consequences of it. And then number three, to be different going forward. You have to change, but change is hard. And my guess is if you're still watching this video, and I hope this is helpful, change is hard. I personally tried changing on my own, and you end up trying to exert your will over this and your willpower, and you might be able to change for a little while, but real deep level, like heart level change, I personally needed help with it. I still need help with it. But the change happened for me when I saw Jesus. And I don't know what your faith background is or not, but I saw Jesus and understood that he had personally taken the blame for everything that I had done wrong. You know, when I'm specific about things I've done wrong, that he personally took the blame for all of that. And that when I trust him, all of my mistakes and failings and the ways I've treated people and things that I need to ask forgiveness for, that he took the blame. It all went on him. And all of his goodness came upon me. And I just thought, how can I go on doing this, treating other people this way? How can I go on without seriously considering, how to move forward? How can I go on knowing what has been done for me? And so I hope this can be helpful for you. These are just 3 parts of a really true apology. And I really hope that you get the healing, the relationship that you need. If you'd like to learn more about Jesus and how he has taken the blame for you, I'd love to talk with you more about it, because ultimately there's a difference in getting what you want and what you really want. And I know that what you really want is good, healthy relationships, and that's going to require change in your life. So I'd love to talk with you about it, and go to HustonOliver.com, click the tab that says Jesus, and we can have a little one-on-one conversation about what this looks like. Anyway, hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.